Today we'll be going over the next stance in Lidia's arsenal, Stalking Wolf Stance. Wolf Stance can't be entered directly from our standing state. Rather, we enter it by pressing forward from Cat and Horse Stance. Much like Lidia's other stances, we can't block or move while in stance, but we can block faster by holding back or down back. And we can press back to jump backwards. And while in heat, we can tap up to enter Heaven and Earth Stance. To start with, let's figure out what attacks and situations we have to enter Wolf Stance, to give us more context for the attacks that come from Wolf. Lidia only has one move from neutral that transitions to Wolf, with the rest coming out of other stances. And that move is quarter circle forward 1+2/2. This is an I-16, mid-mid natural combo that gives a huge +24 frames on hit, with a Wolf transition. The first hit is -12 on block, and the second is -14. Although both hits are punishable, the second hit is both delayable and a counter hit launcher, meaning your opponent will have to think twice before trying to punish the first hit. This string's main weakness is it's very weak to sidestep right. The next two transitions come from Lidia's Horse Stance, with the first being Horse 1, and the second being Horse 4. We've covered Lidia's horse and cat moves in their respective stance videos, so I'll cover these quickly. Horse 1 is a homing high. That's +16 on hit and +1 on block. Horse 4 is a slower mid that's a knockdown on hit, +8 on block, and a counter hit launcher. From Cat Stance, there are a couple more transitions to Wolf, Cat 4, which is a +8 on hit, -14 on block low, which is also a counter hit launcher, and Cat 1 +2, which is a +27 on hit, and -11 on block mid. So we have some context into how we get into Wolf Stance. Most of the time it'll be from either Horse or Cat Stance, with our on-hit frames being extremely good and our on-block frames being pretty bad. Let's go over the Wolf attacks, build a game plan, and learn how to counter it as well. So from Wolf, we have Wolf 1, which is a slower mid at I-22 frames, knocks down on normal hit for a guaranteed follow-up, and is +2 on block. It can be charged and let go at any point, changing its startup frames. When fully charged, it becomes a normal hit launcher that's +7 on block, but has some pushback. It also increases the chip damage from 4 to 13. Like every max charged attack, it gives you a spark indicator and can't be parried. And whether charged or not, this attack is very linear. Last thing on Wolf 1, in some cases you can evade jabs, especially when charging. Moving on, we have Wolf 2. This is your fastest attack from stance at I-15, knocks down on normal hit, is safe on block at -7, hits grounded, and tracks to Lidia's weak side. Wolf 3-2 is a 2-hit, mid-mid string that's only natural on counter hit. The second hit knocks down for a guaranteed follow-up, and it's safe at -6. This string is weak to sidestep right, but the second hit can track in some cases. The first hit by itself is +4 on hit and -6 on block, giving you a safe string mind game to play with. Our last attack from Wolf is Wolf 4. This is a knockdown low, does 30 permanent damage, gives good Oki, but is launch punishable at -16 on block. Some things you may have noticed is 1. There aren't any highs from Wolf Stance. 2. Everything is a knockdown, except for full charge Wolf 1, which is a launcher. 3. There are no clear high or low crushing moves, only Wolf 1, which has some high evasion. And 4. There's no armor move from stance. Essentially what this means is that we'll be playing honestly based on our frames, without any extra layers of armor or crushing, and the only thing your opponent will be trying to duck is Wolf 4 specifically. So, we have our transition frames and our Wolf attack data. How can we break this down to give us some clarity? So besides our punishable transitions, which are QCF 1+2/2, Cat 4 and Cat 1+2, our worst frame state going into Wolf on block is after Horse 1, at +1. Because our fastest attack from Wolf is I-15 frames, and we have no crushing or armor, our opponent can reliably interrupt all of our options with I-13 or faster attacks. It's advised that after Horse 1 on block, we just hold back. Unfortunately, we can't really sidestep here, so we'll need to try block whatever our opponent is interrupting with. The mind game here is, does our opponent check us with an I-14 move, or get greedy for a bigger move? As the defender, I recommend you use quick pokes, being sure to use lows as well. Just be careful using much slower moves, as the Lidia player can catch on and start trying to catch you with Wolf 2 or Wolf 3-2. Our next frame situation, which is our most common one, is with Horse 4 on block and Cat 4 on hit, which both leave Lidia at +8. Here we actually have some frame traps, with Wolf 2 being our safest, as it can't be sidestepped, and Wolf 3-2 being our biggest reward on counter hit. Use these to check your opponent so they don't mash, so you can safely go for your slower, harder hitting Wolf options. The next best frame situation is after Horse 1, which leaves us at +16. Here, everything is a frame trap except for a charged Wolf 1. It really depends on how good your opponent's sidestep is, but as our frame advantage increases, it gets harder and harder for our opponent to step Wolf 1. Lidia, for example, can only step the charged version here. QCF 1 +2-2 leaves us at +24 on hit. It is practically the same as +16, but Wolf 1 is harder to step. The last situation is after Cat 1 +2. It's +27 on hit, which is so much frame advantage that a max charge Wolf 1 becomes a frame trap. Some characters won't be able to step even the full charge, and it can be an extremely dangerous trap if they're trying to interrupt the charge up. As the defender, if you're -8, which will be the most common situation, I'd recommend not challenging and interrupting. Sidestep right is a pretty good option, as you'll get around Wolf 1 and Wolf 3-2. And armor works here too, as Lidia doesn't have an option that hits you before your armor activates, and doesn't have counter hit launching lows like in her cat and horse stances. At worst frame situations, don't use armor or rage art, as you'll most likely be hit out of it. To put it simply, you need to guess and pray. Out of Wolf stance, Lidia can't transition into cat or horse stance. However, in heat, she can go into heaven and earth by pressing up. Even in her best frame situation, she doesn't have any options in heaven and earth that will come out fast enough to be a true frame trap. However, due to the stance's unique mechanics, your opponent won't be able to interrupt or answer the stance with standard options. For example, after Horse 1 on block, we mentioned previously that typically the defender wants to interrupt Lidia out of her Wolf stance, due to her not having any armor or crushing moves from Wolf. Here, we can go into heaven and earth and parry any interrupt attempt, even 10 frame jabs. We won't be able to parry grabs, lows, and dick jabs though. The same applies to our Cat 4 transition, where usually we'd be -14. But in heat, we can transition to heaven and earth to punish even the fastest retaliations. These create another layer of mind game, which we'll dive deeper into in our heaven and earth video. But for now, that's all I got. Thanks for watching. See ya.